All right. Hello, everybody. Waiting for a few people to pop on here and we'll get going. Good evening, Miss Mary.
All right. Hello, everybody.
I have to figure out how to put this down here. Okay, there we go. Amazing. And today it just went live so fast. Everything is perfect. I shouldn't speak too soon, but even in a retrograde, we got this. Oh, blessings, everybody, blessings. It's so great to see everybody here. Today, gosh, welcome, Colin. Can you believe we've been doing this in September? It was just at a year. And so we are just over the year mark doing these chats today. Can you believe that? Time just flies.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, exactly. I'm going to send you a pair of dungarees in appreciation. We can wear them on the same days and be like twins. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to pop on here, make sure I can see people's comments from a couple different places. Sometimes I don't, and I apologize in advance for not being able to see your comments. So feel free to holler at me and say, hey, I'm over here, and send me an inbox, and I'll do the best I can to move through that. Wow. Well, Colin and I have been discussing what the holograms have been like, how to blend them, work with them, see them, understand them over the years, over the months. We've talked about timelines, we've talked about reality, we've talked about current events, and we have no topic concreted to talk about today. But there's so much happening, as always, because we're always changing and evolving. And I don't know about you guys, and I don't know how you're feeling, Colin, but with the battles and the shifting that is happening, I feel like this has been an opportunity for each of us to really go inside. And this isn't about being fall or winter or a seasonal thing. This is about for practicality. What we're experiencing, what we're witnessing is an opportunity to gather the strength that's happening inside of us. How do we hold on to that strength? Hello, Nikki. And how do we use our strength sparingly? How do we keep our morale up? How do we keep our physical bodies where they need to be in order to align with what we're trying to manifest? And what we're trying to manifest is a completely different reality than what we're experiencing right now. And so understanding that our consciousness is extremely powerful and can override their AI and hive mind constructs when we really harness our own powers. So I don't know, that's one of the things that's coming up for me is how do we strengthen ourselves inside and still accredit that to being a co-creation.
Yeah, that's very important at this time. People should understand that to keep their central vertical energy in alignment with self, one has to really take back responsibility for one's thoughts and emotions, one's words, actions, and you know, it's not easy, and it's only ever mastered if done all the time. You know, when you lapse into casual kind of behavior and casual thinking, I'm not saying one must be stringent with one's thoughts, but just guard them, and see what is it I'm thinking about. Yesterday our South African rugby team was playing the All Blacks, and I went to watch them play, on television. And I enjoyed that experience, of being with other people. And, I usually just watch games on my own, but I asked my neighbor if she wanted to go have lunch because it was going to be around lunchtime. So we went to a local restaurant, and we had a pizza and watched the rugby game there. And it was just fun, So I'm not saying one must be so stringent with your thoughts that you don't, find time to just be human. But the key aspect of that is to continue to be a good human.
Yes, I agree with you. Continue to be a good human.
Yeah.
I've noticed, and this is something we talk about in classes and things you and I have talked about. And I think we might have mentioned a little bit last week about historical timelines lining up. And it's interesting working in the timelines and with the timelines and understanding perceptions of reality. And because these historical timelines are lining up, I feel like what's happening in today's world, like in the moment, in the now, is really amplified. And it's creating a vibration in our cellular structure. And it's really hard for people, I think, to align their values and their emotions and continue to stay on the path of being focused, because the overwhelm of what's happening in their body mind spirit construct is rather confusing right now, because it's so amplified.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've talked about timelines before, and this week I had quite a revelation. I don't know if it was from my higher self, but it looked like, I've been talking about this parallel timeline that's been built by our galactic brothers and sisters, and it's running parallel with our reality here.
Mm-hmm.
And what they had to do, just to understand the technology behind it, they had to load all the information about the entire history, our entire history, from the first incarnation.
Right.
So all of that information is now fed into, it's like a computer program. All that information had to be fed into this computer program, and it's running parallel to our timeline here. And what they want to do, at a point, they want to do what they call timeline blending.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they bring the two timelines, and the two timelines then become the third timeline. So you've got two running now, and they become one timeline, and that will be the timeline for the future. And they told me when they bring these two timelines together, they have to synchronize everything that's happening at the time. So everything that's happening in our current timeline must be synchronized with their timeline. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, what they're going to do, that's when they will have this thing that people call the event, with this flash. And that flash is not just like a spark, but it's information that people will get a download of information at that time that raises their consciousness up to a level where they can integrate who they really are and remember who they are. And there'll be what they told me would be a buffer period. Now that buffer period's like a quarantine where we will be getting these downloads of information of who we really are so that we can continue and go into a higher dimension. People often think of ascension as going somewhere.
Right.
It's not. It's your spirit, your soul gets an upgrade. and your consciousness gets an upgrade. So your consciousness travels into a new experience. And all the blueprint for your physical body is held within your soul body, in your soul codes. So when we go through this experience, we'll get an upgrade in our soul codes so that our bodies can then change from the
Carbon, from carbon.
carbon-based bodies into crystalline-based
Yeah.
bodies that will go from physical to semi-etheric bodies. And so we will still be here on Earth, but it will be different in that the history of this planet is filled with lies.
Yeah.
They haven't told us the true history. And during that time of timeline blending, we will learn the truth and we'll discard all the history, and we will suddenly remember and know the truth.
Yeah.
And that truth is going to set us free. But I found I was really trying to wrestle with this idea of the two timelines coming together and synchronizing. And that's when I remembered, they did tell me, but I'd forgotten, that there would be this event. And the event will last for, I'm not sure, I can't remember, but it'll, over a period of days, it'll be, I think they said 10 days. And in that 10 days, we will go through what is called the quarantine period, where we will literally, it feel like floating in space. That's the way that this can describe it, because I've been into the void. So I understand what they're talking about. It's a place of no time and no space. And all there is information. So we'll get all this information and we'll get an upgrade in our soul codes so that we can progress further into the fourth, fifth, and sixth I mentioned.
Interesting. I love this. And the way that I see this, to add to how you see it and express it, is when these parallel timelines. Now, I don't see the other timeline that none of these are inorganic. These are organic structures, and they're being woven with light threads, and very delicately woven with light threads to come through and blend naturally. And what that flash is, or I've heard it expressed also as like a lightning strike. That is a of information, like you're saying, and it's like, because the way that they've blended it, we all then have access to it's like the cellular, it's like the cells, because the cells in our blood, they all hold our memories, our DNA. The blood holds our DNA, and it's like this gets, I see it as automatically being cleaned, like it's getting cleaned. And so all of these purgings, all of these connections we've had to being stuck into these like old constructs, like the Nephilim reversal programs that our bodies have been bound to, they come untied, move and shift. And just by going back into the natural construct, the organic constructs that we are, the organic timeline that we're supposed to be on, we get a reset. So it resets our system. And we do have physical, we do experience that physically. Some people, lots of people are having lots of stuff going on with their endocrine system. And that's because the whole Tower of Babel stuff, the whole communication thing, our entire endocrine system is getting a reset. And when we move from carbon to crystalline, that means our soul and our spirit, we want our soul and our oversoul to be controlling our body. And it hasn't been doing that. Someone else, other beings have been controlling our body and our mass. And so this can be, for some people, a very uncomfortable physical experience.
Yeah, I understand that. And I'm feeling it for myself, you know. I wake up and I've always, generally when I wake up, I'm fine, and I've got energy. But lately I've been waking up and feeling drained of energy, and then I have to, do some exercises, uh, to like restore, my system.
Yeah.
And it involves just a bit of meditation, breathing, visualization. And I'm finding that all those techniques very helpful for me at this time,
Yeah.
because if I didn't know what was going on, I can imagine for some people it must be terrible. You wake up in the morning, you don't have any energy,
Yeah.
or very, very little energy. What do you do? How do you restore your system? So
Exactly.
yeah, it is going to be very uncomfortable for many people, but that's why we've got to inform ourselves and use the techniques of breathing, visualization, chanting, toning, use your imagination, because your imagination is the metadata you are creating in your mind for the hologram you want to experience. Now, I've explained before that that works, but basically the pictures that we see on our screen is just metadata that's been converted through a program. Okay, and whoever creates the metadata, and we are creating the metadata now by speaking, looking the way we look in the environment that we're in, that's just metadata. So if we use our imagination, we create the metadata for the holographic experience you want to experience. And it's a very powerful tool, and very few people even know how to use their imagination, believe it or not. And I thought everybody had that ability, because from my earliest age, I had this very vivid imagination. I could
Right.
picture things in my mind and, write songs in my head. I'd wake up in the night and write the song down and go to sleep. And then next morning I get up with my guitar and I play the song.
Yeah. It's
How did
not everybody is not that connected, right?
Yeah. So, but people need to make that connection. And, one way to do it is to create a storyboard of
Yeah.
what you want to experience for yourself in the future. Um,
You know what?
and
Go
the
ahead.
more detail you put into it, better it's going to be.
Yep. In the morning, to add to what you're saying, in the morning, I'm tired as well. I know that I'm doing a lot of grid work and teaching on the other side during sleep time, and going on all kinds of fun adventures. So I wake up, I scan my body. It's the same thing I do. I make sure I'm shielded. Um, so I'm 100% shielded. I continue to scan, and I bring in gratitude, and I open my heart and make sure that I'm coming from a place of gratitude with grace and love for my day. And I also kind of put into my field to auto correct myself, because if something happens, I read something and it wants to um, I have a reaction, then I want I want my field to, like my body's, to understand that the second I'm triggered, I want to look at that immediately. And how and why did I respond to that? And how can I move forward to move through this without affecting somebody else's field? There's, and when we reach a certain level of mastery, there is a level of responsibility to understand that your energy fields, your words, all of these things, when you know how to wield those, you are responsible for them. There's a lot of leeway for people that don't understand, and you have to go, well, they don't understand how to work their light bodies. So, these are things we're going to be learning moving forward in our future, because there's no other way around it. We're going to go back to understand that how to co-create responsibly, responsible co-creation. And that's one of the universal laws, responsible
Yeah.
co-creation.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, it's really it's technology that people don't quite understand, because it's never explained to them. For instance, how cellular phones work. They don't understand how the mobile phones work.
Mhm.
But it works as it's basically the same technology. The fallen ones are incapable of creating anything. Okay, they can only replicate and copy what is already in the universe. And so when they give us these technologies, all they're doing is copying what's in the universe already. But they don't explain that to us. They don't tell us that they want us to think that we've got these smart, inventors and technologists who develop these smart things, and that this is really great, and then we have to spend a lot of money to purchase the item, and then we have to spend a lot of money to be connected to the internet,
Mhm.
and I was thinking yesterday, why don't they have a mobile phone that's just a phone? I don't want a video camera. I don't want a camera. I
Mhm.
don't want to go on the internet with my phone. I just want to be able to phone somebody. Now, that, that might sound like a strange thing, but why aren't there simple phones that you can buy that are just phones?
Yeah,
You
you
know,
can't do that anymore.
no,
I don't know, it's like they took them off the market or something.
yeah. So we have to spend more money and every couple of years they upgrade the technology, and then you fall behind the old technology, and the old technology no longer works. So you have to upgrade your phone, and you go through the
Mhm.
cycle. It's all a trick.
Yeah, it is. It is. One of the messages that I've been getting lately, because everything around us is AI. It's AI this, it's AI that. They're injecting us into stuff that'll hook us more up even to the AI. It's AI, AI, AI. And they're false, they're false ley lines. They're all AI. They're grids. They're all AI. And it's like it keeps they keep my higher self, my teams. Not only have I been able to do this and be able to collapse these false timelines and their little AI monsters that pop up in the ley lines, all you
Yeah,
have to do is stand in the moment. You stand in the moment as your sovereign, your God sovereign free self, and they will dissolve because they stand no power against human consciousness. And so
yeah,
I keep hearing we have the design to override this software because no software built, nothing out there. I don't care who or what you are. It does not supersede an angelic human consciousness. It
yeah,
can't. They can't replicate it.
yeah. Yeah, it's like old McDonald's farm, AIIO.
Yeah, yeah, oh my goodness. Um, I wanted to say also hello to Jody. She said greetings, and Irene is saying hello, Chastity and Colin. Can't wait for my semi-etheric body. Right?
Yeah,
Be a place to. It's going to be magical, and it's something that we can jump into. It's something we can achieve in the now moment. We all have the ability to do that. You don't have to wait for a big something to happen. This bolt of energy or whatever is going to be coming, this is for people who who really need a shock to the system. And this is when many of us are going to be needed to help explain to people what is actually going on, because they're not able to see through the veils. And there's no judgment. It just is what it is. But they're going to be needing help because this is possibly could cause some serious disorientation and confusion. But in a world of disclosure is going to happen. We're super excited about it. We know it's coming. We're not taking drips anymore, and I think there's enough of us that have been awake to say, no more dripped information. We raised our consciousness enough to be able to hold and it's called holding the line, I suppose. So we hold in a stasis, in a place for these to be able to come in and merge, for that bolt of energy to happen, and then we'll be able to then pull the rest of the people up to an understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, and people can assure everyone after we've gone through that process, everyone will be assigned a guardian who will be your personal mentor,
Yeah.
your personal trainer, your personal guide, who will explain everything to you, and he will reorientate you to the experience that you're having, so that you come out of being human to being a new being. It's
Yeah,
really a kind of born again experience.
absolutely. Sue Galonzo is saying, my internet in the house has been down these past 2 days, and I'm embracing not being constantly connected to that AI. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
And thank you, Perry. Thoughts in alignment. I was listening to some of my friends talk about interacting, for instance, with 5G towers. I actually just posted something on it, like, when do you think they're going to be like really turned on and amped up? Because I think in some places they are, and in others they aren't. I think that they've run some tests and whatnot. But and how that disturbs our electromagnetic field. Some people say that's not going to happen at all, that it's all just a ruse. And some people say, excuse me, that they're actually connecting into the AI construct and consciousness of these towers and these vibrations, and sending love frequencies through these vibrations, and trying the best they can to change the frequency of it. Because, and I think to that I say, I mean, why not? If we can use certain crystals and stuff to change that, and we already know human consciousness is the highest of all the intelligences, why wouldn't we use our consciousness to interrupt their frequencies?
yeah, yeah. In this elixir that they're sticking into people's arms, contains graphene oxide in nanoparticle form, but it's not just, it's charged graphene oxide,
Right.
which makes it a super conductor and a super magnet.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's going to change the polarity of a lot of the cells in people's bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and changing the polarity of the blood cells of
Mm-hmm.
people. That's why they're getting coagulated blood.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind it, this experiment, is to try to control people's minds, because nanoparticles can pass through the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
Okay, which is it's a liquid that separates the blood from the brain. And in that blood-brain barrier, once it's through there, it can actually affect neuro passages. These are passages that in the brain. It can affect your pineal gland,
Mm-hmm.
which is even more disturbing for me.
Yeah.
So we might see some strange behavior from people,
Might.
who've had this
Mm-hmm.
this technology stuck into
Yeah.
their bodies.
You
But
know,
people shouldn't be too concerned, because the beloveds will always find a way to overcome it. And they've got great technology themselves, and I've
yeah.
seen some of it, and it's massive.
We're I can't seem to speak today. We will overcome this. I'm not, there's no doubt in my mind. But I will say, what I've seen from day one with all of this, and I saw it firsthand the first go round of people getting this, at least here in Washington State. And I don't know if anybody knows much of my history with this, but I was a massage therapist, and I'm currently not practicing because the skin to skin contact, I had skin to skin contact with somebody who had the injection, both the first injection and the second one, skin to skin contact both times. And I couldn't believe the information that came in and what I saw in the body. I do medical intuitive work. And so I was able to see what it was doing to the kidneys, the endocrine system. And not only that, but I'd worked with this particular person for at least 6 years. So she wasn't a stranger to me. And when I do massage work, I also do energy work, soul and spirit work, and clear, clear things, and I literally, there was no soul in the body. Not only that, I couldn't find it. And it was very distressing to me. And shortly after that, my gums flared up and started bleeding, and I got blood clots in my legs. I was not injected with any of this. The blood clots lasted for many, many, many months. And my daughter, who didn't even come in contact with her, ended up with swollen, bloody gums, so much so that they started to cover her teeth and it was coagulating in her mouth. So I'm not saying everybody will have those kinds of side effects, but I know that I do, and I know that my daughter does. And that was, close quarters. For me personally, that was skin to skin contact. And then my personal teams, my etheric medical teams and my higher self said, absolutely not, no more for you. I can't work with people. And not only that, it's not safe. I don't understand. And I say this all the time I think this about massage therapists is it's a contraindication to massage somebody with blood clots. It's a contraindication. And these people are likely riddled with blood clots. Blows my mind to think about that. And so and it doesn't just happen to the vaccinated people. It's very powerful. What they're using is very powerful, and it takes time. I ended up using humic fulvic acid to clear my leg. I found it way late in the game, but it was the only thing that cleared my leg. I'd used MMS, I used DMSO, everything, and nothing cleared it except for this like organic from the earth minerals. So it was really crazy.
Yeah. Now, tissue salts are also very helpful for people.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they work at the cellular level.
Yeah, I use those bio cell salts, the 12 cell salts. And I actually like Highlands, but there is traces of dairy in it, I think, in the Highlands brand, but I don't have any dairy reactions with those. But if some people who are super sensitive, but yeah, we use those. And fatigue, oh my gosh, those cell salts will like adjust fatigue in moments. It's amazing how powerful they are. I'm a jabberjaw today, aren't I? Does anybody have any questions? Let's see, Sarah, Cindy, I've been looking at nature around them for any disturbances. I've heard of some work done by biomagnets that has some good results. I wonder if biomagnets are a specific, do you mean by like a specific brand? I love using magnets when I go out in public. I have like magnetic jewelry, and that seems to help the best I can to, I've been demagnetized before. So I've thought, okay, that's enough time in this space, time for me to go back home and clean up, right? But yeah. Oh my goodness.
Now, magnets can help with a lot of things like circulation in your body. That does it. I have I usually wear copper bracelet, and every now and again I recharge it. So I've just remembered I should recharge it again to make it stronger.
How do you recharge your copper?
Just by putting wire around it, normal electric cord, and put the one end on a battery. Got a little battery that I connect one end to and the other end to, so that the electric creates electrical circuit, and the coil, by wrapping electric wire around the bracelet. It,
Mm.
it recharges the magnetism, it
Mhm.
reinforces the magnetism. It's basically Tesla technology that,
Um,
because the electrical, when the electricity from the battery goes through the wire, it creates a magnetic field. Okay. And when it's wrapped around the copper, that magnetic field then is transferred into the copper. And so the copper then becomes magnetized.
Got it. And just him checking some other feeds to make sure I'm not missing any questions. Um, Nikki says, what about just being in the sun for a few minutes? Will that not suffice?
What about being?
Being in the sun. I think she's asking, would it not just be enough to be in the sun and have that clear your body?
Yeah, the sun will help a lot, especially with vitamin D in helping your body to create vitamin D, because all the stuff they put into is designed to reduce your body's ability to immunize itself, so it attacks your immune system. So it's going to be important to make sure you get a lot of copper. I mean. Um, Vitamin D and going out in the sun. Just, if you have a couple of days where it's even cloudy weather, be sure to go out to the sun when the sun starts shining again, because your being without vitamin D can harm your body in ways you can't imagine. Yeah, but I don't. Also, the sun's rays are different from what they were before. I
Mhm.
used to do sun gazing, and in 2012, I noticed that the sun changed from yellow to white.
Yeah,
It's a sun gaze.
yeah.
And so I spoke to my higher self and he said, don't sun gaze anymore, because the
Mm.
frequency of the light coming from the sun is not the same as it was before.
I'm so glad you
Okay.
brought that up. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I stopped the sun gazing, but I still don't get hungry. The sun gazing cured my hunger pangs, so I can go days without feeling hungry. And then there's some days I will feel hungry. When I say feel hungry, I'll just notice a slight hunger pang, and I'll just go eat something like an orange or an apple or something. But but water is more important for your health than food,
Yes.
and people must drink a lot of water. I drink at least 5 liters of water a day.
Wow. That's a lot of water. I just bought a gallon jug for myself, and it has like really fun, encouraging words on the side, like you can do it. Look how far you've come, right? It's all rainbow
Yeah,
colors. It's so great. Yesterday, I noticed something really odd about the sun. Aside from the color spectrum that you're mentioning, normally I can go outside and I don't look at the sun, but it doesn't bother my eyes unless I look at it. But yesterday it was so unusual. It was like being outside was burning my eyes. I actually had to put sunglasses on, which I don't normally do. And I thought, what in the world is happening now? Because it was very odd. And I don't know if we're in the process of going back to being able to uh, access original frequencies. And so maybe this is shifting and changing. Um, but I know something is definitely up with that.
yeah. The sun is changing, and it's also going through periods of very hot and cold cycles.
Mhm.
So the time when it's very hot, and sometimes when it cools down a bit. But we would hardly notice it, but it does change. The heat and the cold have different frequencies of light, and so it'll affect the intensity of the light. And if we're not protected by the magnetosphere and the ionosphere, you can get radiation rays, UV radiation from the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah.
So too much sun is never a good thing, but I've always been careful of the sun because I've got a sensitive skin and I burn red.
Oh, do you really? I'm really pale, but um I will, like, first time in the sun, I'll get red or pink. But then that's all I need. And then after that, I get unusually dark. It's very strange for being so light. Um,
Yeah,
but I get very light or dark, I mean. Let's see, Perry is saying he lays with his head north for an hour, then south an hour each night. And I'm not faithful to that, but Earth aligns ourselves and zips them up, he says. And Ryan Austin is used sun gazing for years. Beautiful.
yeah. Another thing people should bear in mind that the earth is a sentient being. It's a living soul.
Yes.
It is that is advanced to such an extent that it's able to host other beings on it. So it kind of it's hosting us as her children, Mother Earth, and she's magnetically charged. So
Yes.
she the Earth being alive is what attracts the sun's rays because she's magnetically charged. So it's attracting that electric light from the sun. And we are like in acupuncture, you get needles that they use, that they put onto the various meridian lines in acupuncture. And we are like the needles in acupuncture. So in a sense, we keep Mother Earth healthy by our own health. And
Yes.
there's this reciprocal relationship we have with Mother Earth. So it's always very important to go spend time in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the trees, put your hands in the trees, feel the earth under your feet, um, touch the plants, speak to them, telepath with plants. Um, you know, it's amazing what you can actually do to not only keep yourself healthy, your biofields healthy, but you helping Mother Earth to heal as well. And that's a very big part of this ascension process.
Yes.
We couldn't ascend if Mother Earth doesn't ascend with us. So Mother Earth's going to go through the same consciousness change from carbon-based to crystalline-based, and she's going to host us through the cycle. So people must, get closer to Mother Earth and feel the earth under your, because that ground, the energy comes through our heads and down into the earth. It passes through the feet into the earth. And likewise, you can draw energy out of the earth and pass it on to other people. Okay, so we are like a network of beacons that are passing energy from one to the other all the time. You know, you can't see it, but you can feel it. Like when you're in conversation with somebody and you're having a really good feel conversation with them, you just feel good about, being with that person. It's because you're passing energy from one to the other. They're getting energy from you, you getting energy from them. Then you get other people who you're in their presence for a few seconds and you think, oh no, get out of here. And because sometimes some people give off a very negative energy, and I pick it up very quickly. Like yesterday, when I went to this restaurant and I was listening to people and I was feeling the energies around me. And there was a man sitting next to me on the table next to me. He had a dog. It was a beautiful dog, and he was a really nice guy. So we got into conversation with each other, and it was really nice. And then a friend of his came over to him and stood over him, and he had such a negative energy. And I said, "Wow, what a contrast between."
It's always amazing to see those kinds of friendships or relationships. I think, oh my gosh, how did they find each other?
Yeah. But the dog's energy was the best of all, actually.
That's great. Dogs
Yeah,
are
beautiful
amazing. I love
energy.
them. Well, some dogs take on the energy of their masters, but to say it politely. Um,
Yeah.
hey, John Lyran, he's saying, hey, Chastity and Colin, I've just finished a 3-day fast and feel epic. And yes, water is so important. Great show. Many thanks. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Lyndon's bringing up a good point. And, this is something we haven't talked about, Colin. And I find it actually very fascinating that math is changing. But what I find most fascinating about that is math changing, or are we actually just going back to the organic structures? Because we're supposed to be a base 12, and we've been working off of the Kabbalah, their structures of a base 10 structure. And
Are
so,
you talking about mathematics or
yeah,
maths?
she's talking about, that's a great one. It's affecting the laws of nature, is what she's saying. So I think she's talking about, she must be talking about mathematics. Lyndon, do you want to reach out and share specifically? I assume it's mathematics, but something that I'm also noticing is that, yeah, mathematics. Thank you, Lyndon. Is that tuning forks, when I was using tuning forks on people's bodies, because we're shifting and changing their energy structures, that the tuning forks that I had weren't functioning correctly. Because when you change them to the organic vibration, then what we have, the tools we have here to work with are pretty much void.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that,
the whole mathematical structure is going to change.
yeah,
Because what we have on Earth is a base 10, a decimal method of counting and multiplication, division. All our mathematics is based on a base 10 or mathematics, whereas the universe works off a base of 3, 6, and 9.
yeah,
6, 9, 12, and it's
yeah.
3. 3 is a basic number. And we have, our programming here is binary programming, but the universe works off trinary programming. Okay, so it's not just on or off, but there is the alternative of neither. Okay, so it's not noughts and ones, it's ones, twos, and threes. And the 1 and the 2 is yes or no, and the 3 is maybe. Or, it's the neutral of the two.
Mm.
And that changes the overall structure of matter. It changes the overall structure of sound, music, consciousness, because everything in the universe works off a base of 3. So mathematics is going to change dramatically. So in a sense, we have to learn a new maths, in the new world.
Which I'm excited for, because it'll make sense. It'll make sense when we hit up against something that is an inorganic structure. It actually kind of hurts the body. We can get headaches, we can get sore throats, we can get funny tastes in our mouth. Just it feels squishy. It doesn't feel right. It puts pressure on us. So there's just a lot that if when we pay attention to ourselves and pay very close attention to ourselves, know who we are, know what we are, and then stay focused, we'll automatically know organically when we're coming up into something that is organic or in alignment with us.
Yeah, because really everything is about probability in the universe as well. Potential, probability, and possibility. That's how timelines work. And if you have a binary system, you only have 2 probabilities, yes or no, on
Right.
or off. And that limits the extent of understanding when you're creating anything, when you're creating mathematics, roads, bridges, that geometry of the decimal system limits the probabilities
Mhm.
that can come out of thinking in a non-linear way. Okay, and that's very important to understand. Those who I'm not mathematically oriented, but when I was waking up, they explained this mathematics of 3, 6, and 9 to me, and it made a lot more sense to me. than just a yes or no answer, but a yes, no, and maybe. So you have three alternatives. And out of the maybe comes a new probability of, so just being defined by yes or no, on or off, it limits your probabilities and therefore your possibilities.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense to people, but you have to think about it.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I know that there's plenty of information out there. I think a lot of people will disregard it, but they won't disregard it forever, because it is just going to be how it is. When we move back to organic structures and truths, it's just, there's going to be no other way. There's just no other way to be. So, I mean, it goes into better understanding quantum mechanics, which helps you better understand time travel, and what we're capable of. And all the best secrets have been hidden. So all you have to do is ask. That's what I say. You want to know the truth? Just ask. Just go inside and ask. Connect with your God self, and go in and ask the questions that you want answers to. So.
Yeah, there's so much that is still a mystery in this planet that is not understood with the mind. It's only understood by a three-dimensional imagery or imagination. Now, some people's imagination only works on 2D. If your imagination can work on 3D, look beyond just one possibility or two possibilities, but all the other probabilities and possibilities that can come out of that, then you're creating a three-dimensional or trinary metadata system in your mind to produce a better outcome. Now, there's something in quantum mechanics that's very strange to understand, and that's called quantum entanglement. And it's what they call spooky action at a distance. Because when one of the astronauts went into space to the moon, was Mitchell. When he went to the moon, he left behind some DNA with scientists because he wanted to do an experiment where he would put his body through some traumatic experience on the moon, and he wanted to see if the scientists noticed any change in his DNA. And when he did that, his DNA instantly changed on Earth.
Wow.
So there's this interconnectivity of all things, and because it was instant, the science can't understand that, so it's a bit of a mystery. But if you understand that a wave of light goes around, it doesn't travel in a straight line. It seems to travel in a straight line, but because of the laws of relativity, it's actually spiraling. It goes out, comes back, and comes around of itself. And all of that one wave creates an information. It's like fiber optics. We pass information through fiber optics. There's no electricity, it's just light passing through a light tube. And that's how the universe kind of interconnects. But the strange things, all those things happen at the same time. The event you're observing along this spiraling light that travels in a circle, it all happens at the same time.
Yep. Isn't that fascinating? I think that it can be mind-blowing once you really anchor in how that works. Lyndon's asking another question, and you'll probably have a good answer for this. She got this out of ES. It's an energetic synthesis group. So she's asking, the number 6 is the law of response, according to this group. So it is all about knowing how to ask, but also how to retrieve the answer and discern the answer to come from the higher self rather than a dark imposter. Does that make sense to you? Basically, the number 6 is the law of response. So would be the truth coming back to you if you're vibrating through the 369, focusing on the 6, and then it can't be impacted then by AI fields or imposter spirits. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. You know, the mathematics of 1, 2, and 3, 3, 6, and 9 is mysteriously wonderful if you
Yeah,
are prepared to look into it.
yeah,
Because if you the number 6 is number 3 times 2, which equals 6. So what happens between 1, 2, and 3? So if you have dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and then you have 4, 5, and 6, what is happening to it? You're creating an incremental cycle of consciousness.
mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you could say consciousness is growing, it starts to expand. So when you can go through the dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and you go to dimension 3, 6, and 9, 4, 5, and 6, you're creating an incremental stream of information. Okay, because it's light. Everything is light, sound. And when you create this incremental stream of information, it has to, by the very nature of the universe, change everything. You can't be the same in dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and then move to dimensions 4, 5, and 6 and be the same person. You can't do
Exactly.
that.
No, you can't. It's impossible. I know in session work with people lately, everything has been about mathematics. We've been adjusting magic cubes, and we've been adjusting the trinity of triangles and how those fit through the body. Lots of rod repair work in order to get the rod and staff in the body too. And this is all mathematics. And if you guys think that I know what I'm talking about, I don't. I listen to my higher self and my teams that show me how to put these pieces together. So, but it's really about manifesting. This is where we manifest and shift and change into the higher realities, like Colin's talking about. Being, in situations where it's like, oh, well, my higher self in the 9th dimension is going to be better apt to deal with this situation. So you make sure you're in alignment with dimensional aspects of yourself, and you access that point of who you are, and your 9th dimensional self then is able to step in and answer the questions and make the changes. So
Yeah. And we are capable of experiencing higher dimensional frequencies just by changing our minds, our thoughts, our emotions, using your imagination, because your imagination is a very real thing. It's a picture, it's an image, okay? And that's why it's called imagination. You create the image in your mind. And so you can create images in your mind. Now, in my case, what happened to me is these images came to me in my sleep. And I was taken out into the universe. And I thought, how could I be at 2 places at the same time?
it's a little mind bending at first.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's not your body that travels, it's your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever your soul goes, it carries the blueprint for the body with it.
Yeah.
So when I went into dimensions 4, 5, and 6, I had the body of dimensions 4, 5, and 6 because I had to change my soul codes to a higher frequency. And so once I had done that, I could then take this semi-etheric body with me and reconstruct it in dimensions 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, when I went to dimensions 7, 8, and 9, it was terribly difficult to get my frequencies up to that high level. But once I was able to do that, I then appeared in those dimensions as semi-etheric.
Yeah.
But the strange thing about the etheric body, the semi-etheric, and the physical body, they all appear the same. Okay, so when you're in the density of the semi-etheric, you feel less light, less dense, but your body's still there. You can still see your body, but it's just it has a different cellular structure because your cells change because of the lack of density. Okay, just think of an atmosphere. Our atmosphere is very thick here, so it holds our bodies in a dense state. When you go into a higher dimension, there's less density, so there's not that pressure that you get here on, the air pressure and so on. Gravity is less, so you're able to do things, so you use less energy, and you have a totally rearranged cellular structure, and then likewise. But the thing to understand is you don't travel anywhere. Everything you're creating in your mind. So the hologram you're experiencing, what you're seeing out there is what you are creating in there.
Yeah.
Like the universe is like a big brain. And we're all in part of that brain. And it's showing us pictures all the time. And we experience ourselves in a 3D virtual reality, really. That's what's happening.
I love it. I think it's fascinating. And it's an ever open wealth of information. And we get to create anything that we want. We get to see our pals when we understand how to do this. And ironically enough, that's what sometimes people have dreams and they see their friends and they can describe the same things. Or maybe you're a grid worker and you work with a group and you guys all can actually see the same thing. It's the craziest phenomena, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Gosh,
Yeah.
well, I think we had a really fun chat. And thank you guys for your great comments and questions. Very active group today. So this is beautiful. And at the end, I just want to do a shout out to Judy Lightworker just popped in. She's saying hi. And Nikki, yeah, hello. Nikki saw the new earth in her etheric body one night, only one time. So she's super jazzed about that. I would be. And Perry is saying we already connected. We just have to align to creational math. Yeah. Yeah. Once we just remember. Gosh, Colin, and Judy Lightworker is saying hugs, Colin. Just a little extra love.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
nice to hear from you again. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, what a day. What a morning for me. I hope that you get some reading and some fun things done before you head off to bed. And we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Look forward to it.
And
see you all.
You have new things coming out. I don't want people to forget this. You have new things coming out at the writingsofcolinjoe.com. What is your last one you just put out?
Yeah, we did a course on the tangible structure of the soul, or the construct of the soul, and it's on my website. You can find it there for under $3.99, which is for nothing. That's if you're not aware of that your soul has a construct, then you should really go have a look at that and begin to acquaint yourself with the structure of the soul, so you understand where your energy comes from, where it goes to, how it's formulated, how the frequencies change from one frequency to the other, how your chakras work, how your soul codes work. And there's also an exercise there that you can do to help create a protective barrier in your soul body. It's called you have a 12th dimension is 6 feet, 6 inches below your feet, and from there you can create a shield. It's called the Maharic shield. You can create a protective shield around the body using those frequencies of the 11th and 12th dimensions.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So yeah, but people, it's filled with great information. I really encourage people to go there. It's not, for me, it's not about the money. For me, it's just that our system requires money to be paid in order for the system to work, because there's an interaction. You know, you have to register and get your email, we get your email address and so on. So it's just a systemic thing that you know, I could give it to everybody for free, and I have posted it on my Facebook page a couple of times, you know, different parts of the course. So if you can afford a cup of coffee, you can afford this.
Yes,
In fact,
absolutely.
priceless information. That's why
Oh,
you couldn't pay me enough money.
I know. It literally is priceless, and it's going to be so beneficial for people to understand the constructs, you know, and if gift it to somebody who's asking questions and you don't have the words. I mean, $3.99 for a birthday present, that would be amazing. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
gosh, Colin, thank you for all that you do, and we'll just talk to you soon, my friend.
Look
Go ahead.
forward to next Sunday, Chaz, and hope you have a great week.
Thank you. I will. Much
Bye
love,
to
you guys.
everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.